Hi there, everybody, and welcome to this inaugural edition of My Strategy Tech Edition. In this show, we cover all things tech. Today, we're going to be talking about cloud solution adoption, which can lead to revenue acceleration for cloud providers. Selling this solution to a customer is the first step. However, for a variety of reasons, customers can be slow to consume the cloud services, and organizational alignment could be the key to adoption. All right, so today we're talking about cloud solution adoption. There's a number of reasons why customers are not able to adopt cloud or not adopting cloud. Some of the symptoms that we see are a customer's not onboarding, customer might not be adopting, expanding, and in some cases, a customer is a potential for churn, where they're going to discontinue use of those cloud services. Today, we're talking about customer organizational alignment, and if we're able to focus on that, would that help us with consumption of a cloud service? All right, so for starters, I've got this green pyramid here, which represents a service or a SaaS solution that we want to move to cloud. So in many cases, there's the misconception that moving to cloud is much easier. And as a result of that, as you can see in a few easy steps, we've taken the customer from the current state to the future state, and they are now fully consuming and using those cloud services. The reality is that that is not always the case. So for background, I want to talk a little bit about some of the phases of the customer journey. Now, this model here that you see on the right-hand side's not my own work. I borrowed it and have referenced it here. But essentially, they've laid it out in a couple of different phases, in 4 different phases to be specific. And then you can see below each of those phases are stages. So they've got their pre-sale stage, their onboarding stage, adoption, and then ultimately growth. Just keeping in mind that this model is just for reference. It's not my preferred model, but it's just something to illustrate the point that we're trying to make today, which is how alignment in an organization can impact those various stages. So then on the left-hand side here, I've got the phases broken down. So let's say, for example, in a pre-sale stage, the roadblock is that we do not have a commit yet. In the onboarding stage, the customer might not be onboarding. Or from an adoption perspective, they've onboarded, but they're not adopting. And as we look to grow the solution at the customer site, we're not seeing expansion, and there's a possibility for churn. So I just want to set the stage that those are the stages. We're going to talk about them a little bit as we go through this presentation. But for context purposes, this reference architecture should serve us just fine. All right, so if you recall, we had this green pyramid here. Now what I want to do is talk about the reality of a cloud solution and getting that into cloud. Now, I do need to caveat that with that model I showed, if I had not already said, that's software as a service. From an infrastructure as a service or platform as a service, those require different modes, models to be able to get those solutions. So the stages of the journey are going to vary. So this is a software as a service example. All right, so if you recall, we had this green pyramid that represented our solution. We've got the customer then in this bigger pyramid here with the gray tones in it. And then the customer's future state is the vision of where they want to go. So the goal is to get the customer from their current state to the future state. Well, one of the complicating factors in doing that is that within a customer organization, they have different levels within the organization. And so for simplicity's sake, I've picked 3 different levels here where we've got the executive sponsorship, the business and technical leadership, and then we've got the skilled leads and resources who the skilled leads and resources are going to be responsible for implementing, consuming, this particular service. So mileage may vary, but those are the 3 for illustrative purposes that I'm using today. All right, so when we have up here in the upper left-hand corner this green pyramid, you'll see that I've put a piece of the pyramid in each of those three levels. And the executive sponsorship has a piece, the business and technical leadership has a piece, and the skilled leads and resources. The reason why I'm doing that is to show that you're not just moving the solution holistically into cloud, but really you need alignment from the various other groups or levels within the organization to execute on that vision, to get to a point where that customer is in their future state, which is cloud adoption. Okay, so just to unpack this a little bit more, if you think about the executive sponsorship, they're focusing on the business value, the why, and the when. Does it make sense for our business to do this? We've got business and technical leadership. They might be focusing on the what and the how, and potentially assigning the who. And then we've got the skilled leads and resources who are the who. They're the ones who are going to be adopting the solution, using the solution, and so on. Again, the why, when, what, how, and who, I picked those just for the reference architecture here to give you an idea. In some organizations, the business leaders might be coming up with the why, and executive sponsorships aren't. But for all intent and purpose, and just for the argument's sake, that's why I organized those that way. All right, so let's take a case study. So in this particular case study, what we've got here is we've got alignment between the executive sponsorships and the business and technical leadership. However, we do not yet have alignment from the skilled resources. And you might say, well, John, what do you mean? Executives said to do it, business and technical leadership said to do it. We should absolutely, the people need to do what they need to do to meet those business needs. Well, it's not always that simple. What the symptom can be is that we're not adopting or expanding, but there could be many reasons for why those skilled leads and resources are not executing on what the vision or the goal is. They might not have the skill set. There could be other people or process types of blockers in their way. So even though we have alignment at the executive sponsorship level and the business and technical leadership level, you still could see where we're not adopting or expanding. Another scenario here, we do not have executive sponsorship. We have the business and technical sponsorship, but no skilled leads and resources sponsorship. Well, this situation happens quite a bit. We've got a customer that's activated. They potentially have onboarded and are consuming, but they are not really getting the full value out of the solution. There are a number of reasons for this. The business and technical leadership could be testing out a SaaS solution. Well, to the business, the customer business, they're testing the solution. They're using this solution. If you look at the software as a service or the service provider, they see consumption, but they might not know why they are not seeing growth within that particular solution. So again, it's activated, but there's a potential for churn until we gain that executive sponsorship and get others using it within the organization. So what it boils down to is that, as we're deploying solutions, getting solutions to be activated, onboarded to the point where we're at a growth, it really comes down to making sure that there's alignment between those levels within the organization that are important to ensure that this solution can be delivered successfully. And I think that is the key here is, we need to look beyond just, why aren't they onboarding? Why aren't they activating? But really start thinking about it from the perspective of this could have to do with organizational alignment. So a couple of key takeaways, ask yourself, do all levels in the organization or company understand the importance of the alignment and making sure that they know that, even though the executive sponsors might have a direction in mind, they need to be in alignment with those business and technical leaders, and the business and technical leaders need to make sure that they have the skilled resources to be able to implement it. So that said, we need to ask ourselves, have we included all the key stakeholders that are required to implement this solution? And is there open communication from top down about the vision, but also the bottom up and the readiness? And finally, a few final thoughts to think about. Really develop a customer-centric solution plan in collaboration with all the levels in the organization can help set you up for success. If you've got a customer-centric solution success plan that includes all of those stakeholders, what the roles, responsibilities are, what the needs are, that's going to help you be in a better position to get that cloud solution adopted. Also, there's some critical soft skills that I think are important. It's the communication, the active listening and feedback, and finally, negotiation skills. So hope that helps. That's all I have for this episode, and we'll see you next time.